Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and I'm so glad we live in a society where Zack Snyders Justice League is finally getting released. One of the most intriguing things about the director's vision is his nightmare timeline, which showcases the Earth decimated by Darkseid and an evil Superman so bad that Homelander would go back to sucking his mother's milk.
Breast milk, you made my day.
First shown in Batman v Superman, this dark and alternate future is what would have happened to our world had Joss Whedon's version of the movie remained canon. I'm going to be breaking it all down in the video after piecing most things together from the original outlines and interviews on Snyder's work. It's a really great storyline, and the aesthetic even made for a Halloween costume that I once wore all the way back before the world was ruined. Now, before starting this, I feel we need to lay out the original structure of Zack's DCEU, as it kind of makes things easier to understand. I'm also going to be talking about a lot of timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly stuff, which will sort of change the layout of things as we go through it, but from the top, we need to just look at the events as if they're travelling in a straight line. Our timeline starts with Man of Steel, and originally in the movie there were meant to be elements that established and built upon the idea that every member of Krypton was devoid of free will. As Clark was born naturally, he didn't have a predetermined path that he was placed on, and very much represented a shift in society. Jor-El gave him the Codex, which contained information on the entirety of Krypton civilization, and thus he became the future for the planet. Our timeline then follows the events of Man of Steel, which of course ended with the death of Zod at the hands of Superman. We then jump to Batman v Superman and the aftermath of the two Kryptonians fight. We see a troubled Dark Knight who decides that Superman is an alien that he must take down before he destroys the planet. In the original timeline, the pair go head to head and Batman almost kills him. However, they become the Super Marthio brothers after Batman sees that they have a lot in common. Unfortunately, the friendship is cut shorter than Jeff Johns' career when Doomsday kills Clark after being awoken by Lex Luthor. Justice League then takes place, and we learn about Uaxis of Apocalypse and his failed invasion of Earth, which happened millennia ago when Prince Philip was young. Thwarted by the heroes at the time, he casts his uncle Steppenwolf out, who returns to Earth after learning of Superman's death from Lex. Steppenwolf's plan is to reclaim 3 mother boxes, which will allow him to cast a wave of fear, alienation, and doubt over the planet. This will fuel the already existing depression over the passing of the Man of Steel, and make Earth feel like 2020 all over again. Wait, isn't that just 2021? Anyway, in the original timeline, Bruce forms the Justice League and they resurrect Clark, who is able to come back because of the Codex within his cells. They manage to stop Steppenwolf from terraforming the planet, and Wonder Woman beheads him and then throws it into a boom tube, which is when the heroes see Darkseid on the other end. He stares back at them, they stare back at him, they then stare back some more, and he stares back even more than they stared back, and either way you slice it up, it's on. Diana then starts to research who this mysterious figure is, and Martian Manhunter visits Bruce at his lake house, which is where we learn that he's actually General Swanwick. Thanks for helping out in the Doomsday fight, mate. Much appreciated. He also introduces Bruce to the Green Lanterns, and we discover that they protect the universe from threats like Darkseid. From here on out, Batman begins to grow anxious over the incoming invasion, and it's not too long before things start going to hell. In the original timeline, the heroes all unite and decide to communicate with the Lanterns in order to formulate a plan. Clark learns that Lois is pregnant with his child, and before you can even ask why he didn't use a kryptonite condom, he's convinced by Batman to join the fight. Batman promises that he'll keep Lois safe at his lake house, and she remains there with Alfred. The League leaves Earth, and through the Flying Fox, they travel to New Genesis in order to meet with the people of it and the Green Lantern Corps. Armed with a bunch of new allies, the heroes storm Apocalypse, but Darkseid makes them look worse than CGIing out Superman's mustache, and he destroys their only ways of returning to Earth. The villain also captures Superman and strips the Codex from him, and he begins to study it. Darkseid learns that because the Kryptonians were able to obliterate free will amongst their people, that he can adopt this as a weapon and take over the universe. Using all that he learns, he creates the anti-life equation and journeys to Earth, where he decimates the planet. Because of the fear and anguish that this causes, the majority of the population succumb to the anti-life equation, and slowly the villain is able to turn the majority of them into parademons. On Apocalypse, the heroes rescue Clark and manage to fix their ship, which allows them to travel back to Earth, but on the way, most of them turn against Batman. They just think the guy's an idiot at this point. Upon reaching their home, they witness the destruction, and Clark learns that Darkseid murdered Lois and his unborn child. After seeing the obliteration of another one of his homes, the loss of his father, mother, Lois, and his kid, he falls into a deep depression. The anti-life equation slowly starts to seep into his way of thinking, and Clark turns into a bad guy faster than Joss Whedon did. Now, I'm a bit unsure of the order of the next part, so I'll tell you the two ways that things can be taken. The first option we have is that Batman discovers Deathstroke is alive. Using him and Cyborg, they track down the Joker and get a mother box from him, which will hopefully help in defeating Darkseid. The heroes are able to end the villain's reign, and out of nowhere, Superman kills him. Superman then takes over his army, and some of the survivors of Earth begin to worship him, and even get little patches for their uniform, which is nice. And Batman obviously doesn't like this, and he turns against him, creating a small rebellion in the process that plan to stop him from destroying the planet even further. Now, the other option is that Superman just goes and kills Darkseid, turns bad, and then Batman goes to the Joker after that in order to get the mother box. I tend to lean more towards the former version, as Batman goes to get the kryptonite in BVS. I think it's a bit of a fetch quest to go get the mother box and then decide to go and get the kryptonite. Either way though, he realizes that the world is completely decimated, and with Flash and Cyborg, they begin to build the cosmic treadmill. Batman then formulates two plans, and the first involves sending Flash back to the past to warn the heroes about going to Apocalypse. The second involves going to get the Rock to star in Black Adam and save the DCEU. The Rock of Kryptonite, so that he can kill Superman himself should the time travel shenanigans fail. As we know, it does, and Bruce is murdered by Superman, leading to 1,000 years of darkness. However, the Flash travelling back in time creates a new timeline, and this of course alters events even further. Flash goes back earlier than expected, and in this do-over he encounters Bruce in the cave, which is where the Nightmare Premonition first comes to be. The Speed Force works in mysterious ways, and according to Snyder, when someone goes back, they also take elements with them of the timeline that they're now erasing, and thus Bruce is able to catch a glimpse of the invasion. Flash continues to travel through the Speed Force, and he eventually reaches the correct position, which is when the group arrived on New Genesis just before they went to ambush Apocalypse. Flash tells them not to strike at the planet, and because Bruce has encountered him before, he actually listens to the guy, which is what Warner Brothers should do. Make the Snyder Cut canon, you fools. Now unfortunately, Flash is ripped apart in the time window, and his body gets thrown between the future and past. At this point, the Knightmare timeline is wiped out, and this is why you may see it being referred to as a dream, a sweet dream, or a beautiful nightmare. Batman reformulates the plan, and they decide to travel back to Earth to fight Darkseid on their terms instead. Aware that Lois is now the key to keeping Superman on the side of good, Bruce hides her in the Batcave rather than at the lake house. Bruce develops a weapon capable of killing Darkseid, and when his armies arrive, they're able to push his forces back. In the middle of the battle, Lois goes into labour and gives birth in the Batcave, which is a bit inconvenient. Could you not have waited? Anyway, unable to defeat Superman, Darkseid boom tubes into the cave in an attempt to take the codex from the newborn baby so that he can create the equation without having to fight Earth's forces. Before he's able to harvest the child though, Batman steps between it and Darkseid and fires the anti-God gun at him. As it hits him, Darkseid fires an Omega Beam, which kills Batman in the process. However, his sacrifice wasn't in vain, and Darkseid dies, freeing the world of his invasion. Superman and the League mourn his death, and Clark and Lois name their child Jonathan Bruce Kent as a tribute to their fallen friend. Now, I know I kinda went beyond the Nightmare stuff there, but I didn't want to leave the story half finished, so that's pretty much the original outline and how the Nightmare timeline plays into it. Hope you had some fun, and if you have anything you'd like to add, then the comment box is yours. Do as you please! As a thank you for interacting with the video, you'll be entered into a prize draw on the 28th of February, in which we're giving away 3 copies of the Marvel Phase 3 4K box set to our subscribers. All you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the breakdown. The winners of last month's competition are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at HeavySpoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of the Justice League trailer, which will be linked on screen right now. We went over the entire thing from top to bottom, and it's definitely worth checking out if you want to know more about the movie. With that out of the way, thank you for sticking through the video. I've been Paul, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.